He's the Brian Dutcher Report.
People that are interested in Mountain West basketball and San Diego State will get a chance to see us firsthand.
Driven by Sunroad's Kearney Mesa Subaru. It just makes sense. Minutes from anywhere in San Diego.
All right. San Diego State sweeps Boise State. We spent the majority of our time last week with Brian Dutcher talking about that game, those games, that series, however it is you want to phrase it. 78-66, 62-58. One of those games went to overtime. And as we said on Friday, because what we had on Friday was just Thursday night's game to chat about and look ahead and preview a little bit on Saturday, it had been a while since San Diego State played a good team and since San Diego State had a close win. And I think those things are certainly important, especially as you're getting set for what's coming up next after the regular season, after UNLV, which is a conference tournament and then an NCAA tournament. Let's say hello to Brian Dutcher. He's the head coach at San Diego State, 19-4, 13-3 in conference play, 18th in the net rankings, 19th in the human poll. Dutch, Darren, thank you. How are you?
Great. Feeling good after a good weekend, but trying to stay focused and get ready for UNLV on the road on Wednesday.
All right. Well, speaking of that, it's pretty simple, right? It's the same thing we talked about last time. You win on Wednesday night. It doesn't really matter what happens with Colorado State tonight against Air Force or later on in the week or anything that goes on with Utah State Thursday, Saturday. Win on Wednesday. You're the Mountain West Conference regular season champs. How about that?
We are in control of our own destiny, Darren, and that's the way we want it. So we will do everything in our power to play our best on Wednesday in Las Vegas.
All right. How do you feel about that game, about UNLV? Knowing that many people here, Dutch, who follow your program, they consider this to be the rivalry game. They don't like UNLV. They remember what Vegas did last weekend. How are you feeling about this game Wednesday night?
It's going to be a challenge, obviously. They're very good. I mean, they put one of our two losses on us last year. You know, we were 30-2, and they were one of those losses. And so we haven't lost sight of that. They played well this year, you know, against the top of the conference, even though they haven't been rewarded with wins. They played one-possession games, both Colorado State games on the road. They split with Utah State at home, who's very good, and they played a one-possession game against Boise a week ago. So they're right on the cusp. They haven't got over that, and we want to make sure that doesn't happen against us.
If you guys win on Wednesday night, Dutch, will you cut down the nets at the Thomas and Mack?
I don't think so. I don't see that happening. I hopefully see it happening that we win, but I'm not a proponent of if that were happen and we were lucky enough to get out of there with a victory to cut the nets down on someone else's floor. That's how I feel at this time right now.
All right, at this time right now, so subject to change. I wasn't sure if that was something that was part of the protocol when you win a regular season title, whether you were at home. If you were at home, you would definitely do it, right? Like you would plan for that. You'd have the ladder right there close by. I don't know what the protocol is when you're on the road and you have that kind of possibility.
No, I don't think that would happen, Darren. I mean, at home, everyone else takes care of that stuff. I'm so focused on coaching, and then all of a sudden the ladder appears, and there it is. And so that's the last thing on my mind. And cutting down nets in Vegas, I haven't thought one thing about it until you asked.
All right. Well, feel free. We'll see where it goes this week. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly what the protocols and the etiquette are in that type of situation. So just something for everybody out there to think about. Not named Brian Dutcher because he's focused on taking care of the running Rebels. Dutch, I thought it was really, people can look and they can overanalyze this and they can go, well, gosh, overtime and blew a 17-point lead, et cetera. And then 62-58, a little bit closer there in the second game. I mean, these games are good, right? Like playing close games. Nothing against the run that you guys went on when you were clobbering everybody by 30 points. But these are the kind of games that you're much more likely to play at the next level. So how did you feel like it went here over the last couple of games against Boise?
I just like the resolve of this team. They never get flustered or frustrated. When things are going well, they stay even keel. And when all of a sudden the other team's on a run, they don't point fingers. They don't get panicky. They just play the way they're supposed to play and play hard for their teammates. And we've been fortunate enough to come out on the winning end in most of those kind of games.
Is it important, though, for you guys to have these kind of tests here on your resume? And you deserve credit for winning games 98-71 and 87-57. You deserve a ton of credit for that. That's not easy to do either. But how good is it for you to play in these kind of games here where it is a little bit more competitive?
This is what we're going to see down the stretch. We'll see it Wednesday at Vegas, a very competitive, close game. We'll see it in the conference tournament, and if we get in that field of 68, the NCAA tournament, which I think we will, we'll see it in that. And so it's good to have these games and find a way to win them.
Brian Dutcher is the head basketball coach, San Diego State. San Diego State will be on the road this Wednesday. 6 o'clock, they will take on UNLV. After that, it's the Mountain West Conference Tournament. Dutch wakes up today, 19th in the human polls, 18th in the net rankings. Dutch, regardless, obviously you guys are trying to win a regular season conference title, and then you're going to try to win a tournament title. As it sits here right now, how do you feel about the Aztecs and the NCAA tournament?
Well, I ask everybody around how they think we're sitting. And they just think our metrics are really good right now. We're in the top 20 in about every metric there is. And so some teams might be 60 in one metric, 20 in another metric. We're inside the top 20 in about every metric they have. So sitting here today, I feel pretty good about our chances.
Yeah, you feel like you've done enough probably to get in, but that doesn't change anything here for the next couple of games that you're scheduled to play.
No, we're playing to win every single game we play. So we don't sit there and take a deep breath and think we're in. We're trying to find a way to win a game in Vegas on Wednesday and win the title. That's our next goal, and it won't be easy, but we will be prepared and we will play hard to do so.
Dutch, I remember season number one, your team seemed to get better as the season went on. Now, last year is one of those freakish years where it's an outlier season. Not every season is going to be like that. But it seems like your teams early on now, through season four, almost through season four, it seems like your teams figure out ways to get better as the season goes on. How much of that is by design? Like, where does something like that come from? You can't really plan for that, or can you? That your team seems to get stronger as the season goes on.
I think that's just a credit to my coaching staff. They do a good job analyzing not only the opposition, but our team. And we try to, as much as we say at the start of the year, this is what we're going to be good at, sometimes you're not good at certain things. And then we just try to tailor make what we do to our strengths and showcase our strengths as a team at both ends of the floor, defensively and offensively. And so the more we learn about our own team and the adjustments we make seem to help us play better down the stretch of seasons.
You have a team that and I'm paraphrasing here, you were quoted over the weekend and after one of the two games, saying how much you trust this team, that you really, really trust the players out there, you have to coach, obviously, but you really trust these guys. How much of that is personal coaching philosophy? How much of that is unique to this team, that when you have players like Mitchell and you have players like Shackle, that you can really trust them to go out and do the right things on their own? Because, a lot of coaches, a lot of people in your position, Dutch, they will, and they've told us over the years, they don't like players out there freelancing. They don't like players out there doing things on their own. They like being in control. They like being control freaks, et cetera. But you seem to have a trust in this group. Is that you or is that them?
That trust comes over years of watching them play. Obviously you trust veteran players more that have been through it a number of times. And like I said, I had 5 seniors on the starting lineup that game because they started Josh on senior night. So when you go out there with 5 seniors in the starting lineup, there's trust that's built over those years that they've been in moments, they've been in situations where they're ready for those things. And so at some level, you have to trust them. They're the ones out there playing. You can micromanage a game too much from the bench at times. And so I told them at halftime, we probably yelled at you more the first half than we've yelled in 2 years about do this, do that as the game was going on. I said, just settle in, be who you are. Play like you're good and figure it out. So sometimes that's all it takes too.
Yeah, right? You've been around this way more than I have. You got a lot of coaches. I remember coaches telling me, I'm not letting these players run around that court with my paycheck in their hands. And that's not every coach that operates the way you just described there.
Yeah, well, you got to have good players to do that. We've said it 1,000 times. Player-driven teams are better than coach-driven teams because there's more invested there. And so I've got good players. They're driven. They want to do the right things. So if they make mistakes, it's not because they're selfish. It's just because they make a mistake occasionally. But they're motivated by the right things. They want to play together. They want to win for San Diego State more than anything else. And they're all willing to sacrifice part of themselves to do that. So if I've got a team like that, it's hard not to trust them in certain situations.
Dutch, we've spent a lot of time talking about offense here over the last couple of years, and I know we've talked even a little bit about some of the tweaks here, some of the tempo, some of the possession-based stuff, and tweaking that, making things maybe a little bit more efficient on that front. But, man, same as it ever was defensively. You're still the top-scoring defense in the league, 63-58 against the highest-scoring team. I know it doesn't get as much attention as it once upon a time did, but your defense, this group here, it certainly still seems like it's part of San Diego State DNA.
Yeah, when you talk about 360-some teams in the country and the Ken Palm metric, we're a top 10 defensive team in the country. That says enough. That defense has been the anchor to this program, that we can rely on that, and then we try to find ways to score creative ways, but our defense keeps us in games like Boise State this weekend. When points were hard to come by, we could still win a game like that because our defense is so good.
No doubt. 66-58 against that team, which was averaging 77, and one of those games was in overtime, man. That is something else. Are you going to be watching Colorado State Air Force tonight?
No, probably not, because I still got more Vegas tape to watch. So I'll be focusing on Vegas, and I might keep an eye on the score. But like I said, we control our own fate. So if we take care of our business, we don't need any help from anybody.
Well, we want you to know, on behalf of everybody who works on this show, Dutch, we are pulling for you to win this regular season title on Wednesday night. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that you would be playing at 12 noon, the start time for the show, 2 Thursdays from now. We're there for you. We want you guys to win the regular season conference title.
That's always appreciated.
We want our listeners listening to your basketball games, not our show. That's how selfless we are and down for the cause.
You are very selfless. Everybody over there, Marty, everybody's so selfless. I'm so appreciative.
Dutch, go get them on Wednesday night. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Darren.
See you later, Brian Dutcher. He's the head basketball coach at San Diego State. Yeah, I mean, we're there.
Yeah, I know.
It's selfless.